Morning light fell across the Wren Manor courtyard as the household gathered for Lord Wren's decree.
The kingdom's annual Mage tournament is upon us. Every noble house must enter one mage. Who among my sons will step forward?
Not me, father. Let the tutors handle it.
I am not ready. The tournament is for fighters, not scholars.
I won't be your puppet again.
Then the house shall be represented by its most expendable asset. The slave boy will compete in our name.
Every eye turned to Takumi, his metal collar catching the sun. A rough hand yanked him forward from the crowd.
Don't let them see. Not my magic. Not who I really am.
Let the kingdom laugh. Let them see what a joke this family can field. The slave will bear our colors.
Takumi stood helpless as the laughter crashed over him, fingers curling into fists, a flash of prismatic energy dying before it could form. He had 2 weeks to decide, hide or risk everything in the arena. But that laughter pulled him back 5 years, to the night his world burned.
Takumi, listen. No matter what happens, you must never reveal the magic I taught you.
He thrust a worn leather book into the boy's trembling hands.
This book holds our legacy. Every technique, the truth of our lineage. Guard it until you can stand against the court.
Before Takumi could answer, a soldier's blade found its mark. Kenji collapsed, his barrier shattering apart.
Father, not like this, please.
Through the smoke and screaming, a figure in dark mage robes watched from the shadows. A single hand signal sent more soldiers surging forward. Takumi was dragged from the burning home, a slave collar locked around his neck before dawn.
I can't let them find the book. I can't let them see what I am.
So the slave boy learned to wear his weakness like armor. For 5 years, not a single spark escaped. The stable's heavy silence was broken only by the scrape of the pitchfork. Takumi worked without a word, as he had every day for 5 years.
You've been entered, boy. Heard the reward's a royal decree. Anything you want, granted by the king himself.
A decree. If I could ask for anything.
Don't look so hopeful. They entered you for a laugh. You'll be a corpse in the first round.
Maybe. But I won't know unless I stand in that arena.
That night, when the manor slept, Takumi crept to the farthest stall and opened his father's book.
Forgive me, Father. I'll use your teachings to survive, and maybe to end this nightmare.
His palm hovered over the hay, and a tiny prismatic light flickered, smaller than a candle's flame, but perfectly controlled.
Takumi, are you out here? I saw a light.
Just a trick of the moonlight, Mira. Go back to sleep.
2 weeks later, the tournament arena roared with thousands of voices. Banners snapped in the golden afternoon sun. Takumi passed through the competitor gate, still in slave rags and collar. Guards snickered as he gave his name.
They see a joke. Let them. Their laughter is my shield.
From the royal box, King Aldrich raised a hand. The announcer's magically amplified voice echoed across the arena. The bracket board shimmered into view. Wren slave versus Ronan. Wren. The crowd erupted in mocking cheers.
Look at this. My father sent a horseboy to fight me. Try not to die too fast. I want the audience to enjoy it.
Keep your anger chained. Every spell must be measured. Father, guide my hand.
A slave with a stance like that. Interesting. Let's see if he's more than a peasant with luck.
The bell rang, its tones swallowed by the crowd. Ronan's staff ignited with blue fire, and Takumi dropped into a defensive crouch.
This is the moment. All my fear, all my loss. It's time to turn it into something else.
Ronan unleashed a spiraling column of flame, heat shimmering through the arena. Takumi threw himself sideways, the fire grazing his tunic, sand erupting behind him.
You can't dodge forever, stable rat. This is where you learn your place.
Takumi's finger jabbed forward. A needle-thin jet of water shot from the dust, slamming into Ronan's chest. Ronan's eyes bulged. He staggered, staff clattering to the sand, then crashed onto his back.
That wasn't luck. He's hiding something. That slave is a mage.
The crowd roared with confusion. In the royal box, Lady Alara's pearls rattled as she clutched them. Archmage Valdis narrowed his eyes, knuckles whitening on his staff. Too precise for a slave, the announcer's magically amplified voice boomed. Winner, Takumi of House Ren. The bracket shimmered, advancing his name.
The decree draws nearer. But now every mage in the kingdom will want to crush me. I have to win and never reveal my true strength.
That evening, Lord Ren's private chambers echoed with unbridled fury.
You lost to a stable hand, a slave wearing our own collar. The entire court is laughing.
He's hiding real magic. I've never seen a peasant move like that. The judges should have disqualified him.
I will not let a commoner ruin our standing. The slave must lose his next match, or face consequences he can't imagine.
In the slave quarters, by candlelight, Mira ran a damp cloth over Takumi's bruised arm.
Lord Ren looked ready to kill you himself. What if he orders you to throw the fight?
He already has. But if I lose the decree. I can't let fear take that from me.
A guard's harsh call rang through the corridor, and a bracket sheet slid under the door.
My next opponent, an earth mage. They'll try to bury me. I have to stay hidden, no matter what spell I use.
The paper trembled in his hands. 6 days until the next round, 6 days to decide how much of himself he could afford to reveal. The second round arrived under a cloud-choked sky. Across the sand, a burly mage raised twin stone pillars from the earth. The earth mage slammed his palms together. Stone lances erupted in a cage around Takumi, forcing him to move or be crushed.
Wind, my father's oldest teaching. A small gale, just enough to deflect. Don't aim to harm, only to survive.
A spiraling gust burst outward, shattering the stone cage. Pebbles rained across the arena. As Takumi landed softly, the earth mage staggered, unbalanced. Takumi darted close and drove a fist wrapped in faint lightning into his ribs. The mage collapsed, and the crowd's laughter shifted into a stunned hum. Lady Alara's pearl necklace rattled as she rose from her seat.
Another round won. They're starting to believe, but that makes the Archmage more dangerous. I have to stay careful.
That night, Archmage Valdis sat alone in his tower, an ancient tome open before him. Diagrams of spell patterns glowed on the pages.
This wind, that lightning, it's almost like Kenji's lost art. But the boy is a slave. A coincidence? Unlikely.
He snapped the tome shut. The bracket board showed Takumi advancing once more. Valdis made a decision. He would watch the next match personally. The third round dawned with a gale howling through the arena. Across from Takumi stood a wind specialist, robes snapping. In the royal box, Archmage Valdis leaned forward. His eyes never left the slave boy.
He commands the very air. I must use the ground beneath him, turn his strength against him.
Shearing blades of wind cut toward Takumi. He raised a thin water wall, freezing it with a touch of frost. With a stomp, Takumi liquefied the sand beneath the mage's feet. The wind mage staggered, balance stolen. A quick earth spike tipped the mage over. The crowd gasped. 3 victories from a collared nobody.
Water, frost, earth, Kenji's foundation spells. This is no coincidence, it's a legacy.
As Takumi left the arena, Ronin blocked his path in the dim competitor tunnel.
I know you are hiding real power. When I prove it, you'll hang for fraud. Slave.
The Archmage is watching too closely. I must keep my next match so disciplined that even he doubts what he saw.
The quarter-final bracket shimmered. Takumi versus Rylan Ren. The arena fell silent as the youngest Ren stepped forward.
Father demanded I end this, but I won't be his puppet. Not even now.
Dark tendrils erupted from Rylan's shadow, swallowing the arena's light in an instant.
This is forbidden magic. I'll need Father's prismatic barrier to counter it, but that will expose my lineage.
Takumi thrust both arms skyward. A massive prismatic light burst shattered the darkness, flooding the arena with color.
That spell, Kenji's signature prism. He is the sun.
The crowd gasped, half-blinded. Lady Ilara's pearls snapped, scattering across the royal box.
I've done it. He knows. But I can't stop now. I have to finish this duel.
Rylan crumpled to the sand. Takumi caught him before he hit the ground, murmuring something no one else heard. The bracket advanced Takumi's name in golden light. But across the arena, Valdis's cold smile promised a reckoning. The shadow in the flames had a face. Archmage Valdis gave the signal, and soldiers surged toward Kenji's barrier.
Kenji's knowledge dies with him. Leave nothing of the old Archmage's legacy.
5 years later, that same voice reached Takumi through a guard's summons. He was led to Valdis's private study, chains clinking.
I know who you are, boy. Kenji's son. I am offering you freedom. Before the final, you will concede the match.
He killed my father, and now wants to buy my silence. I'd sooner die than let him rule my future. I will not lose, and I will not bow. You can't buy back the blood on your hands.
Valdis's face twisted. Magic energy crackled along his staff as he rose to his full height.
Then you will die in the arena, just like Kenji. I'll make sure the kingdom watches your execution. The slave who dared challenge the Archmage.
He just admitted killing my father. The whole kingdom will hear the truth after I take the decree.
The bracket board flickered. The final pairing glowed into place. Takumi versus Archmage Valdis. The countdown to reckoning had begun. The semi-final erupted in a blinding inferno. A fire mage of the highest order hurled wave after wave of white-hot flame at the collared boy.
Father always said, "Water doesn't fight fire, it smothers it. I have to control the flood or be consumed."
His barrier cracked. A lash of fire bit into his shoulder, and blood splattered the sand.
Every drop of pain brings me closer to him. I will not fall here, not when I am this close to making him answer.
A spiraling geyser erupted from Takumi's outstretched fists. The water torrent swallowed the inferno whole, turning the arena into a storm. The fire mage was flung backward, robes soaked, mana spent. His body hit the sand and didn't move. Takumi swayed, one arm hanging limp, blood matting his hair. But his eyes held emerald fire. The announcer's voice boomed, "Winner advances." The bracket shimmered, forging the final pairing in golden light.
One more duel. One decree. Valdis will answer for everything, before the kingdom, before my father's soul.
The crowd's roar was deafening. But Takumi only heard the silence of 5 years waiting, and the clock ticking toward sundown of the final day. Darkness swallowed the slave quarters. Takumi sat on his straw mat, pain pulsing through his bandaged shoulder. Mira slipped inside with a cup of water and a cloth, her face tight with worry.
You should be resting. The Archmage will break you if you fight like this tomorrow.
But Takumi's mind drifted to another voice, his father's, in a sunlit training yard years ago.
The strongest mage serves the powerless. Takumi, never forget, your magic exists for those who cannot fight.
I am not fighting for my own freedom, Mira. I am going to ask for every collar in this kingdom to be broken.
Every slave? You mean the decree can do that?
If I win, the king must grant my decree. One command, absolute. I'll trade my revenge for a single word. Emancipation.
Mira's eyes glistened, but she straightened and handed him the water. Then you'd better survive, Takumi.
I will. And after that, Valdis will answer for father. But first, the world changes.
The final bell tolled like a funeral knell. Archmage Valdis ascended the arena, staff crackling with violet power. Across the sand, Takumi stood, collar gleaming, heart steeled.
The final match. Begin.
Lightning split the sky in a jagged white pillar. Valdis's first strike came faster than any spell Takumi had faced, aimed at his heart. Takumi twisted, the bolt grazing his shoulder. Sand exploded behind him, scorching his rags.
You should have taken my offer. boy, now you'll die like your father, screaming in the dirt.
He's saying it publicly. The whole kingdom hears.
I killed Kenji because he was weak, and I'll bury his son the same way.
The crowd's gasp was a physical thing. Lady Alara's scream cut the heavy silence, her last pearls scattering. Even the king leaned forward, face pale.
That's the confession I needed. Now, nothing holds me back.
Prismatic light erupted from Takumi's entire body, the collar itself glowing as ancient magic roared to life. The arena shook, a spear of prismatic flame condensed in Takumi's raised hand. All his rage, all his father's teachings, forged into one final spell. Valdis raised every barrier he knew, a fortress of violet wards, but the prismatic light shattered them like glass.
Impossible. Kenji's technique. It's beyond my...
The spear struck him square, and Valdis's scream was swallowed by the roar of collapsing magic. His staff snapped. When the light faded, only Takumi remained standing, one finger still raised toward the sky. The Archmage lay crumpled in the sand.
Father, I did it. Now the real fight begins.
The crowd was silent, no cheers, no gasps. Just the weight of what they had witnessed. King Aldrich rose from his throne, his voice steady but heavy. The tournament is won. Name your decree.
Every collar, every chain. This is the moment.
His collar still glinted, but Takumi's eyes held the silence of 1,000 freed souls waiting for his word.
I use my royal decree to free every household slave in the kingdom. Man, woman, and child. Let all collars break.
So be it. By my crown, the decree is bound.
Golden light erupted from the royal seal. A wave of decree magic swept across the kingdom faster than a scream. In stables and sculleries, fields and kitchens, metal collars cracked and fell. Thousands of hands touched bare necks for the first time. In the Archmage's manor, servants faded into motes of golden light, their collars hitting the floor as empty echoes.
No, you can't. My property. My power.
King Aldrich watched the magic ripple across his kingdom, his face stony. Then he gave a slow, deliberate nod, but the collar around Takumi's own neck remained intact and gleaming, untouched by the decree's mercy.
My chains can wait. This was never for me.
The arena remained silent. The slave boy had not killed the Archmage, but he had stripped him of every servant, every hand that built his power. Takumi turned from the arena, his collar catching the dying light. The crowd parted without a word, a sea of silent faces, outside the competitor tent. Mira rushed toward him, her collar gone, her neck bare, tears streaming.
You did it, Takumi. Every collar in the kingdom, even mine, broke because of you.
Then go, Mira. Live free. I have one more place to visit.
He walked past the royal box where Lord Ren glared, past the stunned nobles, past everything that had caged him.
You'll always be a slave in the records, boy. That collar marks you forever.
Let the records say what they want. The world already knows whose son I am.
The city gates loomed ahead. He passed through them without a backward glance, the collar cold against his skin. Beyond the walls, the road stretched empty, leading toward the forest where a hidden grave waited.
Father, I kept your book. I changed the world, and I am still wearing the chain, but not for long.
The forest opened onto a small clearing. A simple stone marker stood beneath a winding tree, undisturbed for years.
I kept my promise, Father. I didn't reveal your teachings until the world was ready to hear them. The decree freed them all, but I never asked for mine. This collar is still paperwork, still shackles, unless I decide otherwise.
Prismatic light flickered at his fingertips. The collar's lock clicked open, and the metal band fell into his palm, weightless and cold. For a long moment he stared at the empty circle, feeling the phantom weight against his throat.
Freedom isn't about removing the chain. It's about wearing it by choice. Until no one has to wear one at all.
He lifted the collar back to his neck, and pressed the clasp shut. The metal clicked into place, now a badge, not a brand.
I'll wear it openly, Father, and I'll keep walking until every last collar is rust in the dirt.
He turned from the grave and walked into the golden hour, the collar glinting on his neck. Magic swirled around him like a cloak. Somewhere behind him, a kingdom was learning a new name. Ahead, only the road, and a promise whispered on the wind. By royal decree, all household slaves are forever free. This command is absolute and irrevocable.
It's real, it's really real. Takumi didn't just win a duel, he broke the world's chains.
The decree's magic shimmered across every holding. From castle to hovel, iron bands rusted and snapped, releasing necks long scarred.
My house, empty. My hands, suddenly worth nothing. That cursed boy stole everything with a single sentence.
On the open road, Takumi walked on. A family of field workers saw him, and the father silently nodded, touching his bare neck.
One decree gave them back their names. The collar can't hurt me anymore. It's just a promise I choose to keep.
In the capital, the king signed a new law. No person shall be born into bondage again. The tournament's reward had rewritten history. Sunset painted the horizon as Takumi crested a hill. The road stretched endlessly, but for the first time, it belonged to him.
I'll keep walking. Not as a slave, not even as a mage, just as the one who carries his father's legacy until every chain is dust.
And the wind carried his name, not as a slave, but as a promise, the world's strongest mage, who chose to break chains instead of bones. The Ren manor fell silent. One by one, servants set down their trays and walked out, collars cracking onto the marble floor.
What is this? Come back. You belong to this house. I'll have the guards.
But the guards had left too. Only Ronan and Reed remained, staring at the empty halls.
That slave, he didn't just win, he erased our entire staff. Father's influence is dust now.
In a quiet corner, Rylan folded a dark cloak and slipped out the back gate without a word.
Takumi refused to be a puppet. I won't be one either. Time to find my own path.
In the royal palace, King Aldrich summoned his council. The decree had been spoken, but a new truth now demanded action.
The boy is Kenji's son. The Archmage confessed murder openly. Let it be known, Valdis is stripped of his title and will face judgment.
Valdis, alone in his empty tower, heard the royal guard's boots echo in the stairwell. His magic had no servants left to command, and on the far road, Takumi walked on, his collar a reminder. The strongest mage had not chosen revenge, but a freedom that outran any spell. In the capital, the decree's golden light had faded, but its echo still rippled outward, changing every life it touched. In a village square, a blacksmith removed his collar and, for the first time, spoke his true name aloud. A child born that morning would never know the cold kiss of iron on her neck.
I opened a bakery with some of the others. We call it the Unchained Loaf, best bread in the kingdom, free for those who still have nothing.
The world is learning to walk without chains. I am just a ghost on the road, watching the future I helped build.
In the royal dungeon, Valdis wore prisoner's gray, his staff a splinter on the floor. No servant came to feed him.
Kenji's son. I destroyed his father, yet he unmade me without lifting a hand after. That is a revenge beyond magic.
King Aldrich's scribes worked through the night, writing every freed name into the kingdom's census, a record of the unshackled.
Father's book still has unwritten pages. This was never about a single decree. It's about every world that needs a mage who serves the powerless.
And as the first stars pricked the velvet sky, the colored mage walked on, no longer a slave, but a promise in motion. The seasons turned. Freed hands built new towns. No child born that year would ever feel the weight of a slave collar.
Every day, someone comes in and says Takumi's name like a prayer. The boy who wore a collar so others wouldn't have to.
On the road, Takumi passed a family traveling free. The father nodded. No words were needed between the collared and the collarless.
The decree was never about me. It was about the world my father dreamed, and the one I'll keep walking toward.
He stopped one last time at his father's grave, placing the worn leather book atop the stone. The prismatic glow within pulsed like a heartbeat.
Your lessons are safe, Father. Not in a book, but in every freed hand. I'll carry your legacy forward, as the mage who serves the powerless.
He rose and walked into the dawn, the collar a quiet reminder of a promise kept. Magic stirred the air like a held breath, and so the slave boy, once hidden in stables, walked into legend, not as a king, but as the quiet force that broke the chains of a kingdom. The strongest mage was never the one who could shatter mountains. It was the one who chose to shatter the bars that held others. The road stretched on, endless and free, and Takumi kept walking. The stories grew with every year. Travelers spoke of a collared mage who walked the roads, his staff of light bending the very elements to defend the weak. In every village square, a small shrine of gratitude appeared, a single unbroken collar, laid beneath a prismatic flame that never burned. Children played at being the Prince of Chains, their wooden swords held high, dreaming of a world where no one wore iron.
They sing songs about me. But the true song is the silence where chains used to rattle.
Under a sky full of stars, he traced prismatic runes in the dirt, not from a book, but from memory. His father's legacy lived in every spark, the flames reflected in his emerald eyes. There was no more hiding. The world had changed, and so had he. He would keep walking, not for glory, not for revenge, but because someone had to carry the light until every shadow of slavery was burned away. And so the tale of the slave boy, the world's strongest mage, was written not in scrolls but in the hearts of those who walked free. His collar glinted once under the starlight, a reminder that some chains are worn by choice and broken by will. And Takumi kept walking,